Companies today are dealing with all types of risks. Risk is a big issue for companies. What are the challenges that we've been talking about from the survey that threaten an organization's success?
I would say right now, one of the biggest things is compliance in the regulatory space. Companies are inundated with a lot of rules and regulations that I think impede them from really going out there and doing business. I think the other challenge and/or risk that they have right now, we see a lot dealing with technology and specifically cybersecurity. There's been a tremendous investment in that space, specific to financial and personal data from organizations. But thirdly, it's really what I would call human capital risk. We have a workforce that's evolving and changing. And my biggest concern is if organizations don't take the time to really understand that, there's a lot of intellectual property that's going to be leaving that building in the next 5 or 7 years. Again, I'll refer back, you have 75% of today's CPAs are going to be retiring. That's a lot of knowledge that's leaving that building, or a lot of knowledge that's leaving that organization. And organizations have to start to really think about how they're going to plan on transitioning that knowledge from one demographic to another demographic.
What are the best practices with regards to companies dealing with regulatory and cybersecurity issues?
I think the best practice that I've seen is, one, understanding that these are serious challenges that you're facing. I've seen a lot of examples of companies that have been affected by cyber attacks. A lot of times these hackers or these individuals that are doing this, they're either doing it for the challenge of it, or they're doing it to extract information that they can then use. When it comes to regulations, I think one of the biggest issues that companies have is, again, they don't think it can happen to them. One of the biggest impacts that I've seen is what I would call the FCPA, the Foreign Corrupt Practice Act, where companies are doing business internationally, and these countries have a different style of how they do business that might not necessarily be in line with how the United States would like us to do business. And I've seen companies get into a lot of trouble because they just don't think it's going to happen to them, or they think they're too big, or they think that the government will never come after us, and it's hurt them bad.